Anybody have any questions for Allison? Good job.
Thank you. I do have a request. When all the paperwork and all the filings are done for the trademarks, could you guys let us know, and if there's anything that comes of it? I'm not expecting it, but I just want to be able to check off, done.
Absolutely. It should be done by the end of this month.
Okay. Thank you.
Alan, last month we had Jim Fenimore come and talk to us about a couple things. Could you give us an update on where we are with that?
You bet. I'll speak for Bob here a little bit. The Water World maintenance team cleaned up some of the kind of, I want to call it recycled concrete and other hard materials that were being used as a kind of a drainage measure over on the west end of the parking lot. So that was cleaned up, hauled off, reshaped, and then we have erosion material down there. And then the other area he was concerned about behind the senior center, that's kind of behind of a hill that has a lot of weeds growing in it and some old concrete, some basically has some other pipe material and landscape blocks. That hasn't been touched yet, but it's on our list for the parks guys to get to this off season. So.
Thank you. Looking for a motion to cancel and reschedule the regular Board of Directors meeting.
I move that the Board of Directors of Highland Hills Park and Recreation District cancel the regular board meeting of Tuesday, January 16th, 2024, and reschedule to Monday, January 8th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m.
Second.
Discussion? Yvonne, this was moved up a little bit for looking at the state requirements for the budget, is that correct?
Yes, so as you all know, the governor called a special legislative session, and there were changes that were made by the legislature, and so that did move the dates forward. So we now have to certify the mill levy and file the budget by January 10th. So the assessor's deadline to get us the information is, I think, about a week before that. So we're kind of in a tight schedule there.
So just a note for board members that date will be Monday, January 8th, not Tuesday. Everybody's got that? All right. All in favor of canceling the January 16th and moving it to Monday, January 8th, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Looking for a motion on the Carol Butts Park Master Plan.
I move Board of Directors, Highland Hills Park and Recreation District, approve the Carol Butts Park Master Plan as presented.
Second?
All right, board discussion?
I do have a question. Did the master plan committee review the report as presented in detail? Because it's a lot of pages. Like, I reviewed the executive summary, and then I started to look at that. And if you guys did review it, what did you find? What did you like, not like? What were the highlights from that review?
So we did review it, and actually reviewed it along the way as it was progressing through, Margaret. I don't think that there's anything that we didn't like about the plan. Certainly, we know that it's going to have to be a phased approach because the price tag is, significant to it. But I think that's our next task, is to kind of look at that and see what makes sense for a phase one and then continue to have discussions with the city of, once we get beyond the amount that we are committed to because of the property transaction, what does that look like and what does the phasing of that look like? So it will be an ongoing process, but we do need to get that first phase identified and underway contractually for our agreement with the city.
When we look at the entire master plan as proposed for Carol Butts, is there a timeline after that associated with all the various phases? So fast forward, we get through all the phases. What year are we in?
So we don't have an established timeline, and that's really for the master plan committee to come up with a recommendation to our board. The only section that we have a time frame on is that first, it's about $1.2 million of equalization money.
Okay.
And I believe the agreement on that says that we have to have that started by the end of 2025.
I didn't see that. Is that clear in the plan that it's phase one and future phases to come? I
No.
didn't see that.
The plan does not have the phases laid out. Like I said, we'll have to identify the committee, what we would recommend as the first phase item is what's, or the kind of the items that I would see as low-hanging fruit that are easy to get in and get done and get to that amount. And then the rest we'll have to make a determination with a recommendation to the board of how we do those other phases. Certainly I would see, just fundamentally, one of the later phases would probably be turf conversion if we decide to go to artificial turf there, because that's probably the biggest chunk of the price of that project. So we just need to kind of peel off that first phase and then look at what's remaining and then decide what other priorities we have. And certainly the strategic plan, I think, is going to be very helpful in deciding what is priority for the district and the board and how that moves forward. So it is not split up into phases as it sits now.
Should we say that? Should it be clear there that it says phase one of a multi-phase plan?
Well, I think you can adopt the plan because the plan is the whole. So I certainly think that you all can adopt the plan as is, and certainly I think you can say that we understand that the first phase that's identified will go towards that settlement with the city. But I wouldn't necessarily say that that prevents you from approving the plan. I mean, the plan is what is the goal for the park ultimately.
Yeah, so what I have here, this is the executive summary, and this is what I focused on. So this is the overall, at the end game, this is how we would want it to end up. How long it takes and what it is, we haven't yet established, and that's what we would have to focus on in the strategic planning session and the other master planning committee priorities. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, I think that's fair.
Okay.
Well, we didn't address the pool, right, in this phase then?
I think we addressed the pool in the overall plan, so like in this, and so the plan is, right, we have splash pads that we were talking about.
No, we did not, the overall plan for the park carved out the pool because the pool is part of our aquatics discussion and planning. So the future of the pool was not addressed in this plan. This is just for the park, the free amenities of the park itself.
Could have swore I saw a splash pad in
Well,
here.
part of the survey talks about aquatics and a splash pad, I think, right? But I don't think the pool area is specifically dealt with. Surely not in the budget, right?
Yeah, Don, I agree that's, we need to be careful about what we're approving, but when I went through it, it did say the pools we still needed some guidance on the pools. But knowing that we can approve this plan and then still not backtrack, but we can kind of still put in a timeline and make sure it's contingent upon funding, those types of things. This is a multi-year process for sure.
Yeah, and it's the budget seems outdated. Is that after today, it's old information, right? It's very specific that it talks about its 2023 data.
Yeah, I wouldn't even refer to it as a budget. I would say it's a project estimate. It's a price estimate. It's not a budget.
I would agree.
Yeah, and I was wrong. The comments say that a splash pad may be an opportunity for a future project if the outdoor pool eventually needs to be replaced. So that's what's saying in this executive summary, so that's, it's addressed, but it's not part of the scope.
But our estimate is outdated information as of today.
I think it'll just always have to be updated, because just prices are gonna change continually.
Yeah. Do our experts have any idea what that would look like in the future? Do they talk at all about what next year's numbers could look like? Any escalation thoughts? 3% or 10% or 30%?
No, I don't think that they commented specifically on that, Don.
So the approval on this plan will just be the beginning and go ahead for starting some of our work, especially the work that we have to get done by 2025 with the city, and then we can amend and make changes as we go along. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Other questions or comments? So just to clarify, if we approve this tonight, then we go ahead and start working on the 2025 part, and we can always make updates and changes as needed. Looks like that's correct. All right. So all in favor of approving this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. And now do we adjourn to go upstairs or just move upstairs? Recess and reconvene upstairs?
Mr. President, maybe I would suggest if you want to cover your, skip ahead to the open discussion and action recap, we can take care of that down here and then just have the work session upstairs.
Okay. Board of Directors, open discussion.
Okay, I got a couple things. The Denver Post put out this year in photos, and so they featured a young lady surfing at Waterworld. A little write-up here on the facilities. They got the date wrong of when it first opened, but when you fix the date, the math does work. So this was the 44th year of Waterworld operating. So anything special for the 45th anniversary of Waterworld coming up?
We do. Like all of our milestone celebrations, we'll have some fun things planned. The team's working on that right now. I can tell you that we're targeting that August 4th date for some events at Waterworld, and certainly we'll have a lot of things going on this year, just not all finalized at this time.
Okay, you can have that if you want to blow it up, put it on the wall in your office or something.
Excellent.
Okay.
And Bob, just note it's surfing on it. It's a surfing picture.
So probably from Thunder Bay, or is it from the wave?
Well, it's also to encourage us to look at surfing.
Oh, I see where you're going. Surf Lagoon. Duly noted.
Okay. Insurance renewal, I know our renewal date is 12/31. Can we get an update on how that's coming along?
I can jump in on that. So yeah, we are working through finalizing values and making sure everything is good. We have received another email today with 3 or 4 items, housekeeping items, to make sure that they've got the values where they need to be. And then we will move forward with the renewal. What I saw today was that the values went up by about 14%. And then the rate, I think, went up 4%. So, like I said, we have a couple of housekeeping items there, but we will definitely be looking at an increase next year.
Okay, okay. And then as I was going through the strategic report here, the Barry Dunn report, there's a lot of discussion in here on maintenance and trees. And so, again, as we're looking at the 2024 budget, again, on preliminary numbers, you know, when we had our discussions back several weeks ago or months ago, we're sitting at about positive cash flow of 1.4 million. And it's like, maybe we ought to consider, we don't need more cash. That's my viewpoint. We throw another $1 million in the 2024 budget for tree replacement and repairs and maintenance. And we'll still be positive cash flow for 2024. But let's, you know, just a thought of, hey, let's start addressing some of these things in this report in 2024 by additional maintenance, additional landscaping. Let's make an additional $1 million investment in the district in 2024.
I think that's something that we probably have to discuss at the strategic plan and what we're doing, in that there's other demands on the money as well. And then also, I don't know, I'd like, before we did spend any cash or what those look like, I would want to know what our unrestricted reserves are, funds, and how does that compare to our operating revenues and expenditures? And is it within policy of what we have? Because part of our policy is that we maintain a certain level of unrestricted funds to those expenditures. So I would want to make sure we're in compliance with that.
Again, $36 million of cash. So.
But it's all relative to what the expenditures are. So you could have $36 million of cash, but if your cash burn rate is 40 million, that's not enough.
That's why I calculated what's our positive cash flow for 2024 based on the budget, and it's positive 1.3, 1.4 million. So, okay, just how's the search going for Michael's replacement? Again, sorry to hear that he's leaving.
Yeah, we are sorry he's leaving too, but we have posted that position and began recruitment right away. Mike was generous enough to give us a lot of lead time. His last day is January 31st, so we've been able to transition a lot of things and have had a lot of great conversations about staffing and restructuring and different things like that. So this is kind of an odd time of year for recruitment, you know, with the holiday season and everything, but we have started working with a national recruiter to target specific individuals who would be a good fit for that position. So that'll be ongoing until the position is filled.
Yeah, I noticed in our organization, we had a few people leave, and we're getting a lot more resumes now than, say, a year ago on an open position. So I think some of the dynamics are changing on the employment market and people looking to change positions, so, or change organizations.
Yeah, I can tell you with our marketing director position, we are thrilled with our top candidate who accepted the job and will start at the first of the year. But she brings a ton of experience and will bring a lot of great value to our organization. So we had a really strong candidate pool for that position.
Good. That's all I had.
And Mike, I appreciate your comment about the extra $1 million. I think we should be really strategic about that and talk about not just trees and maintenance, although those kind of rise up above, but what else might we need? You know, what are some other things we could fund with that? So just be real strategic about it. Other open discussion items? All right, board meeting action recap.
I have three items. Schedule a tour of the turf replacement project when it's completed. Provide a total dollar number of the grants awarded And then confirmation when the trademark protection tasks are completed. That was it? Did I miss anything?
I think just for us to be strategic about any extra cash we might have. Anything else? So I will not adjourn the meeting. We will recess the meeting and meet upstairs.